Hello and welcome to the tutorial for the Golden Arrow community site regarding the use of the forums. So the forums are the primary place where the community engages with one another and communicates via messages and postings, shares files and other resources with one another, and this is the place where you can come to contact people that you need answers from or to look for help from your peers. So we're going to go ahead and start with a definition of terms so that you know what the terms mean, and it makes sense when I start talking about things like threads and posts to be clear on what you're actually looking at. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a section. There are numerous sections here, for example, the Golden Arrow community section, or the district section, or the Cub Scout section. These are large groupings of forums that have a related theme. They can be collapsed by clicking on the little arrow to the side or expanded, your choice, and it allows you to quickly get to the ones that you're interested in. They are all open by default, but they can be changed. So within each section, there are a number of forums. A forum is essentially a place where there is a theme as to what the discussions regard. For example, camping and activities or community service. So you should post in a forum that is appropriate to what you're talking about. Not only is it more likely to be seen by the right people, but it is also easier for others to find your posting when they're looking for it. So if I wanted to post something about community service, I would go to the community service forum. Within the forum, you will have things called threads. So think of a thread as a discussion. Okay. If I click on an individual thread, I can go into it, and inside of that thread, I can see what are called posts. Okay, so in general, I have a section. The section contains forums. The forum contains threads. The threads contain posts. So there's the terms. All right, so understanding what we see here. So what you're actually looking at is a summary or a high-level overview of each of the forums and what is the most recent activity within that individual forum. So for example, the last thing that was posted in camping and activities was openings for Seabase 2017. We can tell here that it was posted by Gary Turner, who is a Scoutmaster, a venturing advisor, and a shooting sports instructor. And he posted in camping and activities. Now we can tell that I have not yet read this forum, or there are unread postings in this forum, because the icon here to the left is in color. You'll notice here that the icon is in black and white, meaning I have read everything that is in there, and there's nothing new. But underneath camping and activities, there are new postings. So if I click in here, you will notice that there are several in here that have grayed out icons, which means that I have seen these and I've read these. Okay. However, this one, the Seabase 2017 posting, I can come in here. I know this is a new one. I can click, I can come in, I can look at it, and I can look at it in detail. Okay. So here Gary happens to have an open slot to go to Seabase if somebody wants to go. So that is how you go in and you work with an individual thread. You'll also notice that when you hover over it, it gives you the text, or at least a summary or the first part of the text for the individual thread without having to even click into it, so you can kind of see what it's about. Also, you'll notice up here that you have some additional threads that are not actually part of this forum. So you have two different types up here. You have announcements. So these are global announcements. Okay, the global announcements, these are things where as an administrator, I can turn these on and make sure that they show up on every single page. Okay, so for example, the Golden Arrow community rules, these are the rules of the forum. This is what you need to do or adhere to when you are here on our site. And I strongly suggest that everybody reads them. Also, we happen to have a notice where we've published the 2017-2018 Circle 10 program guide. Right? So if I click in here, you can see that there is actually an attached PDF of that particular thing. Basically, these are things that we want everyone to see all the time so that they're always handy. However, down underneath here, under the sticky threads, These are threads that are important, and we want to have them stay at the top, because as we place or make additional threads, things will get bumped down, and the most recent post will always be on the top. So if a thread hasn't been touched in a while and other conversations are going on, it will eventually migrate down and off to second and third and fourth pages. If you want to make sure that your thing stays at the top, you can ask an admin to sticky it to the top for a period of time when it is relevant. So for example, the Twilight Camp, which will be starting here shortly, has been stickied because this is an important piece of information and people coming in will probably want to find it without having to dig. However, when Twilight Camp is over, this will be removed from the stickies. It is also possible to filter here so that you can see things in different ways. For example, I can go in and I can see whatever is unread. I can also look at the ones that I am subscribed to. Okay, and we'll talk about that when we're talking about threads here in just a moment. We'll talk about what a subscription is, when it happens, and how you turn them on and off. I can also look at what has had the most replies or the most views to see which things are most interesting to people. So for example, here we have the favorite campfire songs. Well, there's only 2 replies in here, but 47 people have actually looked at it. So a lot of people have actually paid attention. All right, so let's back up and let's talk about threads. So we're going to create a thread. So we're going to go into the site suggestion and we're going to go ahead, and you'll see in here that to create a new thread, there's a button at the top and a button at the bottom. They're the same button. They're just there so that as you scroll around the page, you can find one easily. But all you have to do is click New Thread. When you click New Thread, you're brought here to the editor. Now there's going to be a separate tutorial on how to use all this stuff in the editor. The only thing I'm going to show you is how to do an attachment, but in this tutorial. So in order to start, the first thing you want to do is you want to provide a subject. Now this subject should clearly state what it is that you are talking about, what it is that you are looking for, or what topic you're interested in, or whatever. So if you're going to do, say, aquatics, you want it to have the word aquatics in the title. That helps when people are searching for information and looking for things related to whatever it is that you want to talk about. So in this case, we're going to call this Sean's Test Cub Scout Event. All right, and down here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a text. Now here's the thing, all you actually have to do is just type in straight text and then you can hit post thread and you're done. You do not have to use any of these special features unless you want to and are comfortable with it. So if you want to do that stuff, you can go look at the editing tutorial, and that will help you understand how to do things like change the size of text, color, creating hyperlinks, adding pictures, YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. But we're not going to do that in this tutorial because that gets a little advanced, and so it's a separate thing. So for our purposes, we're going to say this is a neat summer camping event for Cubs, and whatever else you wanted to say, times, places, that kind of stuff. And then you can come down here and you can say, just so you can see what it looks like, you can say preview. And here you can see the preview where it shows you what you've typed. Now, the only other thing I'm going to show in this tutorial is how to go in and add an attachment. So in this case, let's go ahead and add a flyer that's associated with this. And there's a lot of things that you could do. I mean, this could be anything. This could be a flag ceremony, or it could be information on travel policies, or it could be some cool craft that you've come up with, or activity, or thing you could do for a merit badge. But whatever it is, you can attach your file and it just comes in here. It opens up just like any other file that you attach from your computer. So we're going to go out here to this. This is our Golden Arrow OneDrive where we keep a lot of our stuff. So we're going to go into events and let's do 2017 and let's do Twilight Camp and let's put in the camp flyer. Now, what's happened is it has now taken a copy of that flyer and it has attached it to this posting on the website. Now, anyone who comes to this post can download this file. So this way you only have to put it up in one place, one time, and then anybody can get to it. Really simple. So now that we have it, let's go ahead and post our thread. And there it is, Sean's Test Cub Scout Event. And And here it says, this is a neat summer camping event for Cubs. And if we click on this, we can see the flyer. So that's the basics of creating a thread. One other thing that's kind of value, and it's something that the community can engage in if they wish to or not. They don't have to, but it is something that's kind of nice, and it helps people understand where valuable information is or who is really contributing to the community. So you'll notice if I go in here and I go look at this C-Base posting again, and we can see here Gary. You'll notice that Gary, we have information here. We see that he's posted 37 times, which means he's active in the community, but he also has these things called votes, okay? If you like what somebody is doing, if something has been useful for you, you can go down here and you can give it a like, right? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You can reply to it in a particular way. If I click the like button, that is +1 vote, and you'll see that he now has 5 votes. It's a community way to recognize the people that are providing valuable information to you. Again, totally optional, don't have to do it, but it is kind of a nice thing to do. One last thing here around threads and posts, you will notice also here, and also you'll notice it up here at the header level as well. If you have maintained in your user account settings, if you have maintained a link to your social media accounts on Facebook or Twitter, you can share and tweet information from the website directly to your social media account. You literally do it just by clicking the like button or the tweet button. Very, very simple, but very effective. For example, if we have recruiting stuff and you find some really cool recruiting information in here that you wanted to share or you wanted to use it for promotional stuff, you could share it through the like buttons. So the last thing that we're going to go over for forums, because I know I've already been going on for a very long time, the last thing we're going to go over on forums is the search. And the search is very straightforward. If you watched the tour that I did, you saw me do this, but it's pretty straightforward. You put in any keyword that you are interested in. So, for example, if I wanted to see any information around, advancement, I could type in the word advancement, and I would be able to find anything that contains information on advancement. And the more accurate your title is for your individual thread, the more likely it is to show up in a relevant search where people will be looking for it. For example, if I wanted to look for the aquatic stuff, right, I could come back in here and I could look at this, right, and see where my aquatic stuff is. So, oh, hey, aquatics training. What do we got here? Oh, hey, there's all this stuff about aquatics training in here. So that is how to use the forum. Okay, I know that was a lot. I know that took a while, but there's a whole lot of capability and features in here. This is something that we strongly encourage you to participate in. Get in, talk with your fellow leaders, share your knowledge. Ask if you have questions or you're looking for something. If you don't know where to turn, you can come here. This is a place finally where you can go and your questions can be seen by the people that can answer them. So, we invite you to come and be a part of this community, leverage the forums, use them like crazy, look at the stuff that you're interested in, and hopefully you will find a lot of what you are looking for. Hopefully it will help answer a lot of questions that we all have. So that's pretty much it, and thank you for your time, and welcome to our community.